Hi Sagittarius, welcome to your September 2016 love reading. I had to pause for a second. I forgot that it's getting to be almost the fall. Of course, I'm doing this in August. And I have left the windows open and you might hear a chorus of cicadas. But it's just so hot that I can't keep the windows closed. And so I'm hoping it won't be too bad. Okay, let me get the Buddha in the shot. Always want to get the Buddha. Okay, here we go. And I will be finding somewhere else to do my readings because I realize the angle is not really conducive for people seeing the whole thing. You know, I know how that feels. You want to see the cards flat. And I'll hold them up, but you know, I totally understand. And just the way I have these cards is funny too, but okay. So the overall energy for September is the Judgment card, and there's, you know, the typical thing that is suggested in the Judgment card as a major arcana card is someone who has come out of something. And so it's a card, I would say, that it kind of hints at there having been adversity and the person having, you know, risen from that situation. And because of that, it really is, I think, a card of triumph in a lot of ways, but it is associated with rebirth. So it's like you're getting ready to begin a new chapter. But I feel like, you know, there still are some loose ends, possibly. You know, it could actually relate to law cases, judgment, divorce decrees. And even after that may become official, there still may be things that are not quite resolved. And so it is still in flux to some degree. By looking at the past and present, I can get a better feel for what's happening. So in the past position, we have the Three of Wands and the Queen of Swords. And I really associate the Three of Wands with those of us who are Sagittarians. Yes, I am one. I'm a proud Sagittarian. And it's funny because today I was listening to another reader that I don't think I'd ever listened to before. And she was saying that she was a Sagittarian, and it's like unbelievable how many of us that are doing this sort of thing are Sagittarians. I mean, it has to be above average. And of course, Sagittarius is the sage. So whatever it is that you're doing in life, if you are living up to your name, you should be, you know, full of wisdom and interested in philosophy of some sort. You should have a life philosophy. But, so let's take these cards one by one. The Three of Wands is about, sometimes, you know, it can relate to actual businesses or, you know, maybe creative projects, but wanting expansion, wanting more than what you have. In a love relationship, you may be feeling you may have been feeling kind of trapped or stagnating within a relationship, and it wasn't giving you that feeling of expansion, which the number 3 relates to. This can be a card of travel. And for some people, it's possible because, you know, we're having, you know, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, we're having summer. A lot of people are on vacation. So it could be that somehow a trip that you took, traveling that you took, led to you either meeting somebody or the relationship you're in unraveling. It's coupled with the King of Swords. So you could have been with an air sign, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, or somebody who is very much in their head and maybe a little bit too remote. They may be very intelligent. They may be very controlled in their emotional nature, but they may be rather detached to the point where you have no connection with them emotionally. And in other words, it's problematic how detached they are. And so that has caused you to seek greener pastures. And, you know, it's also, if you think about these 2 cards together, you have the sword. The swords and the wands go together because it's air and fire. Air feeds fire. So they both are good for each other, but obviously individuals are going to differ. You know, mileage may vary when you deal with individuals. And so as Sagittarians, we want people who are intelligent, but we also want people who have emotions. Maybe not to the extent of, you know, even like with the water signs, sometimes it can be too much or too personal, but we do like passion in our life. And when you have this King of Swords, it may have put kind of a damper on that. And so, you know, you're not feeling it anymore. And that could have led to divorce for some people that were in a committed relationship, or maybe just amicably splitting up. Whatever happened, though, as a result of that, has made you feel like you are having a new life. Like you shed an old skin, so to speak. And so right now, we have the 6 of Wands and the 7 of Cups. And I actually picked the 7 of Cups for another sign, but I think it was Virgo, in that very same position. So some sort of victory, and this could be career related, just like the 3 of Wands could be career related. You may be going really good in that area. And so the 7 of Cups is you having a lot of choices, and maybe you are just focusing on your career. Maybe you were trying to focus on a relationship and it wasn't going anywhere because the person is too kind of isolating in the sense that you can't really penetrate them. And so you don't really feel like you have a meeting even of the minds because they are like, you know, out there, or maybe they have shut down in some way. And so now you're just focusing on the things that are making you happy and making you feel like, you know, good about yourself. And so the career, this is really a victory card. Now this could also speak, if you were in court, it could speak that you were able to, you know, get what you needed. And the 7 of Cups coupled with that shows that you have an expansive place to work with. Like you don't feel that you're trapped anymore. that you have limited choice. You have a lot of choice, but you may have to make a choice too. The sevens can relate to a turning point. And I think the Judgment is kind of like a turning point also. The higher message is the Page of Swords, and I always say that this is like a spying kind of a situation, but as a higher message, it could be saying that you have to stay vigilant in terms of when you're in a relationship, of seeing it for what it really is and not letting it go on too far. It could be saying too that that person, if it was particularly an air sign individual, that that person was immature. The King of Swords indicates somebody that is actually very, is the mature version of that particular suit. So it would seem that that person is very mature in the way that they think, but maybe emotionally they're immature, and maybe they hide behind their intellect. But when somebody like within a personal relationship gets close to them, you see the facade crumbling, and you realize that they may have like a very impressive job title, and they may have other people under them and stuff like that. But when you get this type of a person alone, it could be that they have a core that is quite immature, and that they're actually very paranoid. They're actually very incapable of that kind of intimacy, emotional intimacy. So, in that case, you may have dodged a bullet in a lot of ways. And this is saying that you were able to, and I think it was because of the fact that you had that expansive mentality, or that positive mentality, that you wanted more. I am really sorry about this. This is really, I think because it's rush hour, it's just like, oh my gosh. Just hearing, I live in a very nice area, but that's, that is just something else. In any case, just remember that you always benefit from having a framework, a psychological, actually I would say a philosophical framework to work with and to draw strength from. And, anything that's related to the 9th house, which is our house, that Sagittarius' house, including publishing and traveling and religion, benefits us and helps us to expand. So if you traveled, and this is how you either came about the understanding that you were in a situation that needed to be dissolved, or you just met somebody new that kind of brought that out in you, it really is a lucky kind of thing for us to experience. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, I'm just going to keep going. What crosses you is the 5 of Swords. And so I think that for some people there may have been some kind of intrigue, involving whatever situation this is for you. So I had said this about another sign, although they didn't get the 5 of Swords in that position. And usually, hopefully this isn't you doing this, because sometimes it can be like a hollow victory where you did something underhanded to get what you wanted. Obviously in a love reading it would relate to like stealing somebody away, which I don't really think you can do that, but still you can make it so that people are much more, like likely to believe you over another person. So I always talk about poisoning the well is a perfect example. When I would say a perfect example of this is, let's say you're a woman and you like this guy, and he tells you that he's married, but his wife doesn't understand him, and she's mean to him. And, he really needs a friend. And it's easy to believe that a woman is treating him badly, because people sometimes do treat others badly. But in the context of this particular situation, he may be obviously manipulating you into going along with something that you would normally not do. So this is the perfect example of how, the Five of Swords might work, where it's kind of like backstabbing, but it's kind of slanderous, or otherwise using words as a weapon. And it's one of those cards, I dislike it intensely. As the challenge position, I think one thing that I would definitely say is to watch your words. So even if you feel like you were done wrong by somebody, you might feel like, I'm just being honest, if somebody asks you, you have the choice of how you frame it. And if you badmouth this person, you may feel like you're entitled to do so. And it may not be out of revenge, it may just be because that's how you felt and that's how you saw the situation. But in terms of whether or not it's a good move to make, this card would suggest that it's not. And, even if let's say it was a divorce and people are saying, oh, okay, why did you get divorced? I mean, you can say something that we were incompatible and it's not a lie. I mean, it's the truth. So it's all about how you characterize or frame something. And even with people that are close to you, it's not about pretending that the other person was how you wanted him to be. But on the other hand, it's not about, destroying his name just because it didn't work out between the two of you. And one reason too is because then that person remains in your vibration. The more you can be generous about it and let it go and just say, I wish him well, blah, blah, blah. And the same thing applies if somebody cheats on you. The more you can just be like, I've moved on and I wish him well, I wish them well, the more that you will not have that energetic cord or energetic connection with that person, and then you can really move on. But I think sometimes people don't want to move on because they're still attached to the person. So by complaining, they feel like they are keeping the relationship alive, I guess. And it just doesn't work that way. And the attitude to take, and this is what I was talking about, although the Hierophant is actually not connected to Sagittarius, although I've said this several times in my readings, I believe that this should be Sagittarius. It's actually connected to Taurus for some bizarre reason. I still haven't figured that one out, because it does deal with organized religion and, in general, the framework of society. But I feel like, because I think it also deals with higher education, so it seems to me that that would be 9th house matters, and it should be Sagittarius. And apparently a tarot, whatever, if he was an expert or somebody that maybe he wrote a book long, long ago, attributed it to Sagittarius too. So not all of the people who were practitioners and, wrote well-known books on the tarot all agree on, you know, what to attribute to which sign. You know, sometimes they disagree. So I'm on Team Sagittarius for the Hierophant. And just kind of like what I was saying before, that, you know, when you have a framework of a philosophy, then you can take comfort and you can apply every experience to that standard and within that framework, and really feel a sense of understanding at a macro level of what's going on. So even when you're dealing with a partner who is emotionally unavailable, like I mentioned with the King of Swords, or somebody who may be even having an affair, and you feel like that person is doing you wrong, the Hierophant, you know, kind of symbolizes having a belief system which you can consult to kind of process the information or process the experience. So anytime that you have problems, if you can look at it through spiritual eyes, you see that it's really not as bad as you think it is, but also that it's teaching you something. It's helping you to grow, to expand. The advice is interesting. It's a 10 of Wands, so it's about working very hard. Now, this is a card of somebody who feels burdened. So it might be like really workaholic time. And I believe Jupiter is in our 10th house until September. You know, at least the solar 10th house for those of us who are Sun Sages. But that's very interesting because that's the house of career. So with the two cards, or especially that 6 of Wands, as well as the 3 of Wands, those cards are, you know, also connected to career or success. So maybe you're just going to channel all of your energy into your work. And then we have as the outcome the 4 of Swords. So this is about rest and rejuvenation and contemplation, kind of, you know, laying low and reflecting. I think if you have been, you know, recently broken up from a serious relationship, that is wise advice. Rather than jump right back into another relationship, is to kind of hang back a little bit and see what happens. Because, you know, I think I said this, I don't know, to some other sign, you know, some people are just always getting out of a relationship, jumping into a new one, and never taking a breather. And it's no wonder that it's a constant conveyor belt, because they're just, that's all they do, is back and forth, back and forth. And that kind of thing is just not happening. So you will want to be the kind of person who reflects. It's right below that Hierophant card, and these two cards are very, very similar, although in this Morgan Greer deck you don't see, and that looks like a knight's, what do you call that, mask? I don't know. I can't think straight at the moment. But in the Rider-Waite deck, this is Morgan Greer, the Rider-Waite deck actually has somebody in a church-like setting, and they have their arms kind of crossed as if in prayer or contemplation. And that, to me, really illustrates the spirit of that card. So I think that you will be reflecting on what has happened and ready to, you know, have a new chapter after the rebirth of the Judgment card. So, Sag, I hope you enjoyed that. If you would like a private reading, please click on the link below. Otherwise, have a great September. Bye.